In this lesson of the Nile Rodgers series, we're taking a look at the song Lost in Music by Sister Sledge. It's got a really cool vibe, this song. I can't say I've ever played it in a band before, but it always goes down really well at weddings and similar events when a DJ plays it, because like all of these Nile Rodgers tracks, it's got incredible groove. So let's get stuck in. So for the intro of this song, we're just going to be following the synthy chords. I'm going to take you through all the chord shapes first, and then we'll have a chat about the rhythm afterwards. So we're starting with a C over D, which is basically a first finger bar on the 5th fret on the middle 4 strings. So A, D, G, and B strings, which sounds like this. Following that, you want to keep the bar down with your 1st finger and just add the 3rd finger and 2nd finger to create your D minor 7 chord rooted on the 5th fret of the A. That lasts for about 2 bars. Following that, we're moving back to just a normal C bar chord using an A shape, and then quickly to a G on the bottom string. Again, we play that for about 2 bars. We're then using the C as a transition chord again, this time to a B flat major 7. If you're not sure about any of the chord shapes that we're using, do check out the first video in the series where I take you through all the different variations, and check out the Patreon link where you can download the chord diagrams as well. From the B flat major 7, we're moving back to the C, holding that C for about 2 bars, and then we're back to the start with the C over D into the D minor. In terms of the rhythm, the C over D is pushed, so it actually comes on the and of beat 4, and then we're following that up with 2 strums on the D minor 7. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Now for the other strums on the D minor 7, I think it's better to just listen to the song and really internalize when them hits come in, but if you want a proper count, it would sound like this. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. After the D minor 7, you're going to do a little muted strum while you move to the C. This little muted strum tends to happen in between all the chords, just as a kind of little transitionary movement. Sounds absolutely fine in the song, and it just gives you a little bit more leeway to get the next chord in place. So we've got... Okay, so you can hear that little hit. Makes the chord changes a lot easier. Same thing between the C and the G. So we've got the D. So you can hear them little noises in between each change there. The rhythm on the G is exactly the same as the D minor 7. So we're then using the C as a transitionary chord again, but this time to a B flat major 7. Same rhythm, but this time we're moving from the B flat to the C, so the B flat kind of just acts as the transitionary chord in this one. So you're doing the B flat, muted hit, C major, same rhythm on that C major at the end. So stay on the B flat, then C. Then you start it all again with that C over D to D minor 7. So I'll play through the whole thing and I'll count it as well. I'll try not to run out of breath too badly. That would sound like this. So 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 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 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. And that's when you're back to the start, and that is the intro. Next, we have what I'm calling the chorus, but it's pretty much just the main progression of the tune. It's when they sing Lost in Music, and the chords are exactly the same as they are in the intro. We're just adding a couple of variations and a lot more strumming. So that sounds like this. So we're starting again with that C over D chord on the 5th fret. We're adding the D minor 7 just as we did in the intro, but this time when the strumming comes in, we're going to add the little finger on the top string on the 8th fret, which if you remember from the first video in the series, is just doubling the 7th, so it's not actually changing the chord, it's just giving you a different voicing with a little high note on the top. So let's have a chat about that strumming pattern now. So the first 3 hits are just as normal. You've got the pushed C over D again, and then the 2 hits on the D minor 7. What follows next is a little kind of 3-beat cycle where you're accenting the first strum of the 3 beats and then doing 2 muted ones. Now, because it's 3 and it's an odd number, that changes the accent from a down strum to an up strum every single time. So I'm going like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now again, with these sorts of rhythms, I do think it's best to just listen to the track a load of times until you've really internalized it so you can kind of hear it in your head and then just bring it out on the guitar. But if you want numbers, you need to be doing that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Following that, you have a little bit of an easier ending. You're going to do 2 accented strums, so down, up, and then 2 muted ones, down, up. So put all of that together and you'll get. We then have our transitionary C chord to the G, and the rhythm is exactly the same on the G, so back to the transitionary C chord. This time we're moving to just a B flat major, so not the major 7, and you'll see why in a second. I really like this bit of the song. What he does here is he slides this chord up so that the first finger is on the 8th fret, but he moves all the fingers up 1 string as well, and that creates a B flat major 7 in the next octave, so using a D shape. So this root note here on the 8th fret is the octave of the B flat root note on the bottom string on the 6th fret. So you can use that as a reference if it helps. But it's a lovely way to play that chord. I really like how he does that. So from the C, and then obviously you've got that same strumming pattern on the higher octave of the B flat major 7 there. Then you're sliding back down to the normal B flat, which becomes your transitionary chord. Up to the C, just like the intro, same strumming pattern. And then start from the beginning again, so C over D into the D minor 7. And that's the whole chorus, so if I run through it a little bit slower a couple of times, that would sound like this. really awesome guitar part. Finally, we're left with the verse, which is the same bunch of chords played in a slightly different way. We're starting with the D minor 7, this time on the beat, so on beat 1 of the bar, followed by the C to the G. So same movement, it's just a slightly different rhythm, which I'll explain in a second, to the B flat major 7, so no C transitionary chord this time. Then we have the C major, back to the D minor 7, and then we're already on the D minor 7 and it starts again from the D minor 7 on the next bar and repeats that way. So if I play it in full, then again, so I'm not going to give you a specific strumming pattern because I don't really have one myself. I'm kind of just improvising it, and I think you should as well. But in terms of where the chords change, the rhythm would be 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and again 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, with a bit of strumming. You could maybe even throw in some more strumming similar to the chorus if you want to make it a bit busier. Throw in the same little variation with the little finger on the D minor 7 there. Whatever you want to do to kind of spice it up a little bit. And one more little tip that I'm going to give you here, because you don't have the transitionary C chord in between the G and the B flat, you're moving straight from this G major shape into the B flat rooted on the A string. A handy little tip for this one is to actually keep the second finger on the G string, and then it kind of becomes, you can just slide it and it becomes a pivot point, and you can pop all the fingers on around it for that B flat major 7. Just makes the transition a little bit easier between them two chords, because it can be a little bit difficult to take all the fingers off and then a little bit awkward to kind of throw them down on that B flat major 7 again. So if you keep the second finger down, you have at least a reference point on one of the strings to get that next chord in place. And that is all the parts to the song. Finally, before we finish, I just want to talk a little bit about the theory and the harmonic analysis of what's going on here. So we're in the key of D minor because the whole song seems to resolve on that D minor 7 chord, and the D minor 7, the C, and the B flat, as well as the B flat major 7, they all indicate like a D natural minor key. The only real outlier is the G. And that's because for a G major, we need a B natural, not a B flat. So we've actually got a B natural and a B flat in this song, because we've got the B in the G chord, and obviously a B flat in the B flat major 7. Now what's going on with this is when we play the G chord, we're actually raising the 6th degree of the scale. So rather than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, playing that B flat, we're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a slightly brighter sound on that one. And when you raise the 6th of a minor scale, it becomes a Dorian scale. So actually this song is a mixture between D natural minor and D Dorian. When you hit that G chord, that's the Dorian sound, just brightens it up a little bit. You probably find that if you played a G minor, which uses that B flat note instead, it would sound a little bit kind of bleak. So as I mentioned in the first video, there's quite a lot of Dorian going on in these funk tunes because it just brightens them up, makes them sound a little bit more upbeat or whatever. Interesting, the theory in this one, because it's got the B and the B flat in it. Sometimes when you do that, it can sound a little bit kind of edgy, but it's so well written that it works perfectly in this song. So that's what's going on with regards to the theory. I hope you've enjoyed learning that one and maybe even diving into a little bit of the theoretical stuff as well. I found that when I was transcribing these songs, the more I did it, the more I picked up on all his little tricks, and it actually became easier to get the songs sounding authentic by the end, so hopefully you have the same experience as well if you're following the series along. If you enjoy the lessons and find them helpful, do subscribe to the channel, and remember you can download extra resources such as diagrams for all the chords that we're using in these lessons from my Patreon page linked in the description, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.